Hi Ma, good morning. Welcome back for today's session. So in the last class, we learn about different types of implementation levels of virtualization, right? So what levels of virtualization we learn? Ma? How many we have? Five we have. Instruction set architecture, hardware level, OS level, library level, and finally application level, right? So we learn about the finally application level also in terms of Java virtual machine and how it is going to be executed, right? Now it is a time to compare. It is a time to compare our results, right? See here. So this is a very important table, ma. You have to write this table mandatorily. I can't say that you have to use this value as it is, but some variation should be there. If you observe here, I have 5 levels of implementation here. How many levels I have? 5 levels of implementation. Okay. So these 5 levels of implementation is going to compare in terms of 4 parameters. One is the higher performance, application flexibility, implementation complexity, and application isolation. Right. So giving higher performance, any application can be executed. What is the complexity of implementation, and finally the isolation. It is not going to modify any. It is not going to change your application at any cost. Okay, so these are the x. If we have a single x, means its performance is very low, right? If you have more number of x, see for example for this we have 5x, 1 2 3 4 5, means it is giving the application flexibility more, but it is giving average values for implementation complexity and application isolation. So if you consider the hardware level virtualization, it is giving higher performance along with the implementation complexity is more, and finally application, see the x means higher merit with a maximum of 5x, highest value. So what is the implementation complexity is high. Okay, if you observe OS level, higher performance is going to be more with this. So like this with the user application level also, right? So with this what we understood is the application isolation is very high, means there will not be any change in your application. No need to change your application when you are going to use hardware level virtualization. Okay, and complexity is little bit more, but performance is also more with hardware level virtualization, right ma? See, the number of x in the table cells reflect the advantage points of each implementation level. 5x implies the best case and 1x implies the worst case, right? So overall hardware and OS support will yield the highest performance. So if you observe in the previous diagram, we will give the best performance, hardware level virtualization and OS level virtualization, right? Next, hardware and application levels are also most expensive to implement, means they are tough to implement, very tough or very complex to implement. See, so hardware level virtualization and the user level application level are very tough to implement. Okay, next, user isolation is the most difficult to achieve. So for any level of implementation, user isolation is very difficult to achieve, right? ISO implementation offers the best application flexibility. Instruction set, see, if you are able to convert the instruction set for any type of application based upon their requirement, what we can consider is that is the best concept, right? For example, one person is talking English, one person is talking French, one person is talking Japanese. Whatever the language user is giving to the system, but the system is able to understood the language and can able to execute the instructions, means that's a good system, right, in terms of performance and flexibility. The author is conveying the same. ISO implementation offers the best application flexibility. What is ISO instruction set architecture? So any language instructions is going to convert it to the language understood instructions. It's the best case, right? Now VMM design requirements and providers. So what are the, for example, you are going to use a virtual machine concept or virtual machine monitor or hypervisor concept, means many computers or many applications with different OSs can able to run with in your hardware, bare hardware. Then what is the basic requirements if you want to design your VMM? If you want to design a VMM, what the VMM have to satisfy to the user? Okay, there are 3 requirements. The first requirement is it should provide an environment identical to the virtual machine. So whatever the host OS we are going to use, based upon our comfort environment. That should be the same case for the VMM also. The VMM should not give any burdens or hurdles to the user of a computer. Okay, the environment should be very friendly and flexible to the user. That is the first requirement. Second requirement is the only minor decreases in speed. There should not be any deviation in the speed. Means the output have to come in a very short period of time. Third one is it should be in complete control of the system resources. Okay, so see, it should not modify the resources, but our control should not be taken by the VMM. It have to use the resources, but it should not control total resources. We should have the total control of our resources. If that is the case, first one is it should be same as our environment. It should not give less speed, or it should not give any delay in your performance, and there should be complete control on the resources. If that is the case, then the best VMM can be built. Okay, so with these requirements, any VMM can run on virtual machine directly. In our computer, the VMM can able to run any type of application with any number of virtual machines, right? But we have two exemptions we have to be checked. The exemptions are, see, first exemption, availability of system resources. The VMM can be execute any type of application based upon resources provision only, right? If your resources are not sufficient to any virtual machine, then what happens? It will be struck, because by using the virtual machine concept, we are going to loading n number of applications, different type of applications. But if your resources, the bare hardware is not supporting for your VMM, resources are not available, then what happens, ma? We can't execute our instructions or the applications. There is a basic problem, right? So what we have to do, that is the first thing we have to cope up. Second problem is timing dependency. Okay, because there is an interaction between the host OS and the guest OS. Both OS's performance should be in the same level. If our OS is very fast but VM is very slow, or vice versa, the VM is very fast but our OS is very slow, then what happens? The user may not get the output in a required time. Okay, so these two issues we have to resolve in implementation of any VMM, right, ma? So that is a main concepts we have to be considered. You have to provide the more resources for the virtual machine monitor to install, along with your timing dependency. See, whenever there is a delay in your computer, means we have to consider that either processor is very slow, or there is a problem with the memory availability, or there is a problem in your program. That's it. Okay, so these three cases may get a problem to you. See here for that, so which VMM we have to use? Which VMM we have to use is, we have three types of VMM here. The first one is for full virtualization, para virtualization, hypervisor. Full virtualization means a VMM can able to get command totally on our resources. Okay, it doesn't bother, or it will not listen any instructions by our OS. It will take care of our resources. It can use also, that can be misuse also. If that is the case, it is called as a full virtualization. Okay, maybe it is wasting our resources unnecessarily, changing our data. Next one is a para virtualization. With this, the OS is going to control the guest OS. Our host OS is going to control the guest OS with the permission of host OS only. The guest OS can able to access our resources. And coming to the hypervisor, it's a little bit good one, ma. It will help to convert from one form of representation to another form, from Windows to Linux or Linux to Windows, or any conversion very easily without giving any problem to two OSs. No need to manage by host OS, no need to manage by guest OS. So both will be very free, and one can do their own work. Okay, so this is called as a hypervisor. No, which architecture is better for you means the para virtualization is a better. We should not give full control of our resources to the guest OS. Our OS will have to we have to take care of our resources, and the hypervisor is one is a mediator between these two, right? See the examples I am giving here. The full virtualization is a VMware, para virtualization is the VMware ECX, and hypervisor is a Zen. KVM is also example for the para virtualization. Right? So complete control of these resources by VMM includes the following aspects. So what is by giving complete control, that is full virtualization. So what we have to remember is allocating hardware resources for programs. The VMM can only responsible for allocating hardware resources for programs. Any resource not explicitly allocated to it means it is not possible by us to allocate any resources to any program by us. Okay, next, so it is possible to under certain circumstances for a VMM to regain control of resources already allocated. Means it assigns some values to some resources, but after some time we don't want to do the values, it can change. See, it can able to allocate hardware resources for programs. Any resource is not going to allocate explicitly directly by the VMM. The VMM will not allow any outside persons, and it can remove or regain control of the resources. Means it will become the sole and source controller of our resources, which is not good for us. Right, ma? The VMM is tightly related to the architectures of processes. If that is the case, what we have to do? What we have to do is we should not give full control of our resources to any virtual machine monitor, right? Okay, if that is the case, we have to shift to para virtualization. But whenever the hardware dependency is there, or hardware is going to taking care of our resources, it is called as a hardware assisted virtualization. Virtualization supported OS level. See, we discussed about the full virtualization, okay, but we have some problems with the full virtualization also. Then what we have to do, we have to turn up to the other virtualization method called as the OS virtualization. Right, see this. So cloud computing is transforming the computing landscape by shifting the hardware and staffing cost of managing computational center to third parties, just like banks. However, cloud computing has at least two challenges. What are the challenges we have to be solved, or we have to met? Variable number of physical machines and VM instances. Means, see, in any grid or cloud computing, any number of computers are connected and disconnected. Depends upon the requirement, right? So one computer is going and one computer is coming. Then we have to take care of those configurations, compatibilities, conversions, software installations. All this we have to take care of. So at that time, the performance should not degrade. First concept. Second one is, the second challenge is concern the slow operation of instancing new VMs. If every time a new VM is installing and verifying, configuring, it will waste a lot of time, right? If that is the case, we should not allow the new VMs to take care of our resources. What are the basic two challenges we have to take care of? One is number of VMs are installing, or number of physical machines are installing and VM instances are using, and one more is there is a problem with the operating time because of installation of new VMs. Okay, so for this what we have to use is if there is any problem, we have to create a new VM, or we have to use a template of a VM, right? Right, it is going to happen like this. Why OS level virtualization? Why we have to use this virtualization concept? Full virtualization at hardware level also has a disadvantage of slow performance and low density. See, by using the total full virtualization at the hardware level means automatically it will taking care of, it is commanding us. Without it intervention, we can't do anything. Okay, it is taking our resources, it is not allowing other people, it is doing whatever it want. So what we have to prefer is a para virtualization to modify, and the need for the para virtualization to modify the guest OS, right? So operating system virtualization, that is the third level of implementation of virtualization. What we'll do is inserts a virtualization layer inside an operating system to partition a machine's physical resource, right? In the OS itself, it is going to insert a new layer called as the virtualization layer, by which it can able to run any type of application without modifying or without any problem to the OS. So what it is going to do, it contains the multiple isolated VMs, means the single operating system kernel. It contains the single operating system kernel, only one kernel is going to maintain, but many threads is going to be executed. If that is the case, this is called as a virtual execution environment or virtual private system or simply container. What you have to say, ma? It is called as a container or virtual execution environment or virtual private VPS system. Okay. See, in this we have given a new example called as a fork. Hope you remember this fork command in the Unix. What is a fork command in the Unix is, ma? A parent have some properties, okay, good properties. Whenever any user is instantiating this program to perform some operation, it is not going to perform, but it is giving birth to new program called as a child by using fork command. That new child has the same properties of a parent, which can do the same work like as a parent. Okay, so here what we are going to do is, here we are going to use a OS images, means the same OS operation which can perform our operations perfectly is not going to do by the original OS, but the original OS is going to give birth to lot many small OSs called as a single system image concepts, by which we can easily handle by any number of applications. So this architecture is available in the OpenVZ concept. What it is, ma? OpenVZ. See here, it is a communication concept, our hardware, our OS. Above that we have a OpenVZ layer. Okay, OpenVZ layer, what it is going to do, it is providing some templates. The same structure of our host operating system is going to provide here. By this, these different templates will take care of different applications. See, this is one application, this is one application. Here there are users and root directory will be there. They are not going to change, but this OpenVZ layer, that is operating system image, will take care of these applications. Okay, ma? Right. So what are the advantages of OS extensions? So minimal startup or shutdown cost. See, if you are disturbing our original OS for every operation, automatically it have to wind up our regular operation and have to install the new concept. You are disturbing it. So for every disturbance, it is going to pay more amount of time. So by which our output is going to be get in very more time. Okay. So in order to work on that, we are going to use these OS extensions by using different templates. VMs at the operating system level have minimal startup or shutdown cost, low resource requirements and high scalability. Synchronize state changes when necessary. It will also help us whenever there is a changes occurred in our system. It will give the it will modify without our intervention. And so how it is going to perform these operations? By using two mechanisms. One is single operating system kernel, means one kernel is going to maintain with the help of n number of templates. Next one is, it allows the processors to access many resources of the host machine as possible, but never to modify them. It is allowing the many virtual machines to access our resources. That's it. Read operation is going to be allowing for them, but not to modify. If they want to modify any data, our host OS will enter the scene, and based upon their permissions only, the data is going to modify. So by this, the user data is going to be secure at any point of time. Okay. Right. What are the basic disadvantages of OS extensions? See, as we said that OS is playing major role. OS playing a major role in any operation. See, for this, even to create a template of OS also, we have to disturb OS. Okay, if that is the case, automatically we have to eat up some time of OS. The main disadvantage of OS extension is that all VMs at operating system level on a single container must have the same kind of guest operating system. See, the whatever host OS is going to use should be compatible with the guest OS. Okay. Further, we are going to converting by using the virtual machine monitor. But whenever different VMs are using the different OSs, but what we have to do is all the OSs of virtual machine should be same here. If they are not same, what is the problem? Just guess it. What is the problem, ma? See, if they are going to use the same single system image, same guest operating system, it is very easy to convert instructions from guest OS to host OS. But if there is any problem like this, means if you are not able to convert because of many OSs by using VMs, automatically the time is going to be killing because of converting. It will do the operation, but it will kill the time in converting. Okay, so that is all the different OS level VMs may have different operating system distributions. They must pertain to the same operating system family. Right. For example, Windows distributions such as Windows XP cannot run on a Linux based container. They should be same. Right. Right. That is enough. That's it. So for this we are going to maintain the root directories, which is going to maintain the same data. One is duplicating common resources to each virtual machine partition. Next one is sharing the most resources with the host environment and only creating private resource copies on the VM. It is reducing the time. Okay. Next one, middleware support for virtualization. Middleware support means libraries. So by using different type of libraries, which can able to convert from one form of operating system to another form of operating system. That is the main theme of the virtual machine. It is not going to perform automatically, but based upon this middleware support only, we can convert from one form of OS, that is Windows to Linux or Linux to Windows, like this. In the OS level virtualization, we can't perform this conversion. It is not able to perform. We concluded in the previous slides. Okay. So in order to use different type of OSs by using in virtual machines and normal OSs, we have to use the middleware support and library support. See here. Oh, what happened? Just wait. What I did? Oh my god. So first one is application binary. Just wait. Application binary interface means any application is going to be converted into which is very comfortable to our main processor binary conversion. That is called the application binary interface. So which helps us to run the alien programs also. What are the alien programs, ma? The programs which are not concerned to us are called as alien programs. We usually call the aliens. Who are the aliens? Which are not from our planet, which are different in terms of their body, their power, their presentation, their language. But here by using this middleware support for virtualization, any type of programs can be executed. Okay. So API call, oh my god, API call interception, just wait ma. Interception and remapping means it is going to convert and remap of our applications. So these are some of the library support virtualization concepts ma. Wabi, Alexrun, Wine, Visual Main Wind and vCUDA. It is a famous one. If you observe here, the Wabi is able to convert any application from Windows system calls to Solaris. Linux from Linux to Unix. Wine from Windows to Unix. Main Wind from Windows to Unix. Same. Okay. So it's very helpful to us. So and main concept here is we have to discuss about the middleware architecture. Is the important one is a vCUDA. What is the CUDA? Is Compute Unified Device Architecture. Any device, any architecture, we can unify, we can combine to perform or to process or to compute. Okay, so this concept is given by the NVIDIA company. We learn about this NVIDIA Fermi Kuda, if you remember this streaming multiprocessor concept in the first unit. Okay, so what they are going to do, ma? They are going to compute graphics processing unit. They are going to contain graphics processing unit which can able to execute any number of instructions which can be helpful for general purpose. Any type of application it can execute. So it is called as a GPU, general purpose units. Okay, so what is a vCUDA? vCUDA is a programming model and library for general purpose GPU. It leverages high performance of GPU to run compute intensive application on host operating system. What it is finally? It is a software layer. It is a software layer which is going to be installed above of our OS. Okay. Yes, it is very difficult to run CUDA applications on hardware level VMs directly. So we have to convert that. Okay, how it is going to perform is, there is a diagram here. If you observe it, yeah, if you observe it, oh my god, it is again moving. Wait a minute. Okay, I will explain this in next class. Okay, I will wind up because we got some problem here. Right. Okay, now. Okay, bye for today class.